God, how is Edward really living with Bella? I just cannot handle this girl. Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer, the last book and the biggest so far. I don't know how I was able to go through it, except for one reason, that there is a Jacob's point of view in it. I was so happy to read Jacob's point of view. Jacob's point of view was the reason I was able to go through this book. Like 756 pages. I'll read it only because there was Jacob's point of view, and I just do not like that there is no Jacob's point of view in the entire series, just in this book, because this made it to the top of my favorite list. This series is not my favorite, but the fact that this book managed to make it to the top is beyond me.
Like, obviously, I do not like Bella being Bella, giving up all of her friends just for the sake of being with Edward.
But then not leaving Jacob because she does not admit that she has feelings for him. They just friend zone each other, and their relationship is more complex. And I've said all of that, but this book in particular made me wonder that I do like Bella. Don't get me wrong, don't even think of building hopes on this, because I like Bella only for 2 chapters. Just 1% of the entire series. 99% of the time I hate Bella, but this 1% I like her. I like her because she does something, like an active character role. She goes on a search and finds the advocate to build up the fake certificates for Jacob and her child. And let me talk about her child, because there is so much to talk about it. Firstly, she is pregnant. We did not know that would be a possibility, that would happen. I do not like the reason why she wanted to become a vampire, but the moment she becomes a vampire, everything changes for her. She feels she's beautiful. Girl, you just lack self confidence. You just do not have self love because you did not love yourself when you were human. Like, you have flaws. Accept that. You didn't. In Breaking Dawn, Bella is really overreacting in the very first chapters, where she's engaged and she's like, do not even look at the ring, and it's just too much. And she does not appreciate the concept of marriage. I hate to say it, because even when she's married in this chapter, she does get married, and she is not an excited bride. She is not really excited. She is overreacting that she's getting married, and she just does not like the concept of marriage at the early age. But she just totally, it's totally okay for her to be a vampire at an early age, because she does not want to be an old granny, is she? I mean, at age 18, she thinks she's gonna be a grandma. And she's older than Edward. I have no words. I have no words for this, because this book just, this book is still the favorite. Like, at the very least, favorite things can be said to be favorite. This is the one, because there is Jacob's point of view. Jacob saved this Twilight series and made it worth reading. Is it worth rereading? No, it's not worth rereading. Just because I wanted to see how they conduct the entire vampire and werewolf and all of the mythological aspects of these paranormal concepts, which are so overdone. Jacob's point of view, let me just talk about it for a second, and then we'll go back to Bella's child. Jacob's point of view was fast-paced, the one that I really liked, and I appreciate that it was there, which I think there was a need to add Jacob's point of view in all the books, and just combine the first 3 books into one or two, and keep this book into Jacob's point of view for so long. But Bella, I mean, the only time I like Bella is when she actively pursues and goes and does something, and it feels like she's moving, she's doing something. So that's one. Two, I would say Bella's child, because there is a lot to talk about it. Just let me talk about it. She overreacts because she is early pregnant, just like her mother. She lets everyone know that she's pregnant. She decides a name for her child, and obviously,
If it's a boy, we'll name this. If it's a girl, we'll name this.
that's normal. We know how people react. But for boy, she named EJ. I was a normal person thinking, oh, EJ, it's so sweet. I made a video about it, and it was so sweet for me to think for a second that it would be Edward Jr.
E for Edward, J for Junior, just like we name a child. Like Edward being the father is senior, and we have Edward Jr.
That is so normal for me to think. Tell me if it's not normal, because she does not name it that way. She names it Edward Jacob. What? He did not contribute in the baby to come out. And even though you have so much love for your best friend, you just cannot add his name. I mean, Edward was okay with it. He did not even say a word. God, how is Edward really living with Bella? I just cannot handle this girl. And then we have a female name, because that is so much well thought of. She combines the two words of her mother's, Renee and Esme, and she combines them into Renesmee, which is so beautiful. I really like her name. And when you see the two name comparison, like Edward Jacob, EJ, and Renesmee, you already know it's gonna be a girl, because yeah, the author made work, put effort into creating a good female name. We know it's a female child. It's just gonna be a girl. We know it now. And that's it. But then the story does not end there, because when Jacob sees Renesmee, something happens, and now Jacob is in love. Because of the imprinting, he's in love with Renesmee. The reason he's in love with Renesmee is because the first three books did not do justice to Jacob, and he needed someone, because he needed a happily ever after, because this book does not believe in bittersweet endings, this whole series, because for three books they were okay to hurt Jacob. They were completely fine to trash his feelings and just friend zone him, even though he did not deserve it. It was so hard for Jacob compared to how it is for Edward. And just looking at all of this, I would say Jacob's point of view is so better. Like, there is no word to say how better Jacob's point of view is. Like, author did a phenomenal job. Author wrote his point of view, like a little 4 or 5 chapters, so very well. And that's just sugarcoating it to the max level I can, because it's beautiful. We have a fast-paced story. We feel the story is moving, like something is happening all the time. And I like that. The other thing I would say is Bella having the power to shield, because in 3 books, we were never explained how she is able to block her thoughts from Edward, Jasper being able to detect her feelings, Alice being able to see her future. That is normal. But Edward? No, he can't do it. The Volturi? No, they can't. They are the superior vampire authority in this world, and they are not able to go into the big thick skull of Bella. That's how she describes it. I'm not even saying it. It's Bella's word. In book 4, she says, I'm able to shield. I don't know why. She's able to give birth to a child that is vampire, half human. I really like the concept of a hybrid child, because of originals, hybrid, Klaus. There's no better way to ever stop bringing the Vampire Diaries, the originals, into a story which has vampires in it. I mean, I had to say, I had to talk about them, but there was a tension, a hype in this book that kept me on the edge, just because of one thing. The Volturi will come and kill them. So they were afraid. What happens then? Let me just show it to you, because in movie there was the whole, I have not seen the movies, guys. I just cannot. It's just so hard for me to think that I will watch the movies, because the book were already so difficult for me to bear. But anyway, I would say that in the movie we get to see the Volturi lift the head of Carlisle, and he's dead, you guys, in the movie. You get to see that only for a brief second, because later, Aro, I think he sees the future, and he sees that so many people are gonna die and it's not gonna be worthwhile, and then the fight is peacefully resolved. But in the book, nothing of the sort happened. We didn't. I was expecting it to happen. I gave myself spoiler, and I just do not like how it turned out, because the tension was rising, and then all of a sudden it became flatline. Like, it's not a big deal now. Yeah, you have a hybrid child. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the family. It's cool. There is a very famous scene in the movie. I gave myself spoilers, so I know. But even in the book, it's just the same. Bella overreacting when Jacob gives a nickname to Renesmee, because Renesmee is a big word, so he just decides to call the child Nessie. And everyone in the story called her Nessie. And Bella overreacts, and says, I do not like this. I just hate the name. And there is a Loch Ness monster who, I don't know, it's a mythological thing, and yeah, I needed to do a bit of research to find it out. Thanks, Google. This overreaction to Nessie made me wonder that, okay, it's not a good name. And that's reasoning for Bella to dislike and just run after Jacob. And Edward was having a good laugh. But at the very end, last or second last chapter, when they all have a happy ending, she called her child Renesmee. She called her Nessie. What was all this fight for if you were going to end up calling her Nessie herself? Like, you call it herself, like yourself. Like, why do you give us fight that have no meaning? Like, come on, you guys, you just did not have to do it, and it just happened. It's just, let's just go beyond that. Now, the abilities of so many new vampires, I love that. I just love that. One more reason why I love this book, because there were so many new characters, so many new magical abilities, and Bella actually training herself. Like, come on, she is being an active character, you guys, in this book. And why is she not active in other books? Okay, but she is having possessing, spoiler. Too late for that, but she is having the ability to shield herself. And all of a sudden, now they reveal that there is also someone else who knows to shield. Just plot conveniences, you guys. Plot conveniences. There's just so much. Just too convenient. Okay. Alice leaves this whole family, and Bella is very upset about it. I really like the clues that she left for Bella, because that is when Bella is active, you guys. That is the one chapter, and the other one is when she goes to the lawyer. Just these two chapters, okay? Just these two incidents where she is actually doing something. So she hides something from Edward, something new. She's never done that before. And then we see the whole story play out, and we, at the very end, Alice come back, and we like, yay! I was so happy. I was really so happy to see Alice come back. It was beautiful. Whole of the training and shielding just made her so powerful. Bella just made her so powerful that she decided to overcome, or just win over, the centuries old vampires, and she's able to win because there is no fight. The whole tension was for nothing. I'm just ranting about it, and I'm not going to stop. I know this. So let me bring the end to this video, because I have one whole summary video coming up for the entire series, like all these 4 books. See, I do not like the way Bella reacts to vampire. Like, you're just beautiful now. I hate that, because there is flaws, no matter how she sees herself. The whole idea of never telling Renee that Bella is a vampire, hiding and lying to her mom, I do not like it. But then at the same time, they keep Charlie in the picture because they want someone to be as a parent figure. And they just, the way Bella has to prepare, wear contact lens, and just hide her identity as a vampire in front of her father, and the happy going discussion, like, yeah, now we have a child Renesmee that looks like me, but no, she's adopted. Because how can I explain I got pregnant and I had a delivery in so young time, like so little time? I would still say this book was overall much better, much better than the other books, and it gave a very good happy ending for me. And I was glad that there was Jacob's point of view. It saved me. I would have gone insane because I would have been like, oh, I don't like this series. I just hate people. And yet I'm reading 4 books out of it. And I'm just not ready to give up on the series because I'm thinking to read Midnight Sun. Just tell me if it's worth reading because I'm gonna give it a shot. And I would say the characters introduced to us in the book one, like there was Bella's so many friends. There was Mike. There was who else? Like 4 or 5 of them, and they just slowly start to not appear in any of the books. This book overall had so many characters. Like this book being the concluding book, bringing everything together. They just showed so many vampires that I did not know exist because there's a plot convenience that Alice comes bringing a nomad who is a half child, and I just plot conveniences, you guys. There's just so much of plot convenience. You want a hybrid just to show it's a normal thing to have a hybrid and they can be normalized. Yeah, we have Renesmee, but now we need someone else to prove so that Wall 3 will not kill them. But just because you don't want to have a mega fight. It's just beyond me. I just try to remain sane after all this. So, if you like this video, if you enjoyed my rant about this series, just consider liking and subscribing because I will be having a summary video for all of these books. So, if you want to just jump straight into it, you can just go there. And I have a whole Harry Potter series coming up. Yes, I'm gonna talk about it because how can I not talk about Harry on my channel? It's just gonna be there. It's gonna be there. So, see you there.